Right. All right, let's start this shit, man. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me. With me, your host, General Prime. See, I always get that right when I am when I am sober. It's been 2 entire long weeks since the last episode dropped. Not like anybody's listening to it anyway. It's just me, myself, and I. And you know how you always like. I don't know why. Listen, I don't know why people. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. First of all, um, we don't always like listening to ourselves sing, or we don't always like listening to our own voices. Actually, basically, that's what I'm saying. But isn't it weird how whenever like you send a voice note to someone, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but I know I'm not the only one that does this because I've seen other people do it. So like when you send like a voice note to someone, and then when you make a voice note and then you send it to someone, we always tend to want to listen back to ourselves, right? We always tend to want to like listen to the voice notes that we just sent. Um which is weird. Even though like when you ask people, like for example now, actors usually say they don't like watching their own movies because they don't like seeing themselves on screen. Like there are a lot of people, a lot of content creators, like actors, YouTubers, fucking gamers, singers, musicians, and all that stuff, and all of that jazz. A lot of people that say they don't like listening or seeing themselves on screen, or like listening to themselves, but for some strange reasons, we like listening to our own voices when we record and like send voice notes and stuff. I don't know if I'm right, but I hope I'm right. And I hope what I'm saying makes sense. So that's basically one of the reasons why I like making this. I like doing this podcast because I can like listen back to myself and like, just like, chill with myself and like listen to myself and, have a conversation with my part. Like this is like a means for me, um like a means for me, an avenue for me to like have a conversation, like my past self and my future self, to have a conversation with each other. So what I'm saying is that this is like the perfect platform. The word I was looking for is platform. So this is like the perfect platform for my past self and my future self, to like for my future self to listen to whatever the fuck my past self has been saying, or whatever the fuck my past self says, and like we just like converse through space and time. So this is the perfect platform, even though I don't get any listeners at all. And but hopefully I do in the future. It's just me like rolling out my thoughts, and like just like what's the word I'm looking for now, arranging them, putting them in order, and like categorizing them, to so I don't run mad eventually. So yeah, that's that about that. I hope everybody had like I hope everybody's having, no, this is going to come out on Monday, so I hope everybody had a restful weekend, and then a restful weekend. Looking forward to like the hustle and bustle of the coming week. Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Um, 420 just passed, and the sad part of it is that I didn't get to like smoke because my dealer wasn't around, which is just weird and bad and fucked up, because obviously this is supposed to be something that should be readily available to every human being on earth, because because why is it illegal? First of all, why is it illegal? It's not supposed to be illegal. This is supposed to be like the most, 420 is like the most important day or important holiday of the year to me anyway. I mean, to most stoners. So but then I couldn't smoke because my dealer wasn't around, and because my dealer wasn't available, and it wasn't available to me, and the year just wasted like that. I mean, the day just went by like that. But I'm still good, still cool, and Right now, I'm recording, I've got my coffee with me, and I'm in a really chatty mood. Uh, Um, there are a lot of things I want to say. There are a lot of things I want to talk about right now. My brain is actually scrambled, and I just want to like I said before, categorize them and like put them in order, in specific orders that I can like pick out and talk about and like express and like say and like like just come to terms with and like make sense of. I don't know what I'm saying, but first, what I want to talk about today is I know we have all heard about the laws of diminishing return. Like there's this phenomenon where, is it phenomenon or phenomena? Phenomenon. There's this phenomenon where human beings tend to want something like for example, let's say you're stuck in a desert, right? So what do you readily need? Like what do you desperately need when you're stuck in the desert? Water, probably, food, shelter, rest, security. That's what you need, right? Or let me like give you like a more simplistic example. Imagine that you're hungry, right? Imagine that you've not eaten for a very long time. For like Salah just ended, right? And so just imagine that you're a Muslim and you've been fasting for a long time, and now your fast is over, and you've been hungry for a very long time, right? We always feel like whenever we're like really hungry, always me at least, whenever I feel like I'm very hungry, I feel like I can eat an entire cow. But then when the food eventually comes, I'm not able to like finish more than I can go. Like I can finish like a plate or two or three, at most four. I don't know, but um, we're not able to bite more than we can chew. We're not able to carry more than we initially thought we could carry, right? So that's basically the law of diminishing return. Like we always feel like um no, is this natural inclination for us to want to not want to no longer be interested in things that we initially thought were so deeply immersed and interested in. One example, another example I can give is like there. I mean, there are so many relatable examples like that's the law of diminishing return. Um, can be like that the law of diminishing return affects. There are so many real everyday real life examples that the law of diminishing return affects, and so I don't know if anybody else feels like it, as in we get to a point where I don't know if anybody else feels like we get to a point where things become stale and uninspiring and repetitive and redundant and like what's the word I'm looking for now, when you keep doing something over and over and over again and the fun is no longer there, and like the value, there is no longer that much value in it, or there is no longer that much life to it and color to it. And so for example, now let's say you you are let's say you're a gamer. I don't know the right example I can give that will make the most sense. But say you find a hobby, or you find something that you get really interested in, right? And then you start doing it over and over and over, or like let's say you get a new job. Yeah, let's say you get a new job that you're excited with, and you start doing the job, you get into it, and then you're there for a couple of years, and things become so repetitive and so bleak and so loopy. Like every day feels like it's the same, and it's no longer enjoyable. Or let's say you're in a marriage, like you're in a lifeless, loveless marriage where like there's no sex, there is no romance, there is no fun, there is no, everything is just there and just so bland and just so meh. So I feel like the best way to like solve that problem, or to mitigate this issue of the law of diminishing return, the best way I found is to like leave things and like just opt out of them. I don't know, it's some there are some aspects of life of there are some I don't know the best way to put it. There are some parts of it that are easy to get to opt out of. Let's say you're in a, I don't know, when you find yourself doing something that you no longer enjoy, basically. When you find yourself doing something that begins to look tedious and repetitive, um I feel like the best way to like mitigate that is to like stop doing it for a while. Like when you get used, okay, for example, there are people that smoke, like people that smoke a lot of weed, right? It gets to a point where you no longer get the high that you used to get before. You no longer get the, the feeling that you get before. Your body tends to get used to it. And so if before you used to like smoke once and then you get so fucking high, this time around you find yourself smoking like three or four just to like feel what you used to feel before. And so I've forgotten what it's called. I don't know what's it called. You develop a high tolerance for it, and it no longer like affects you the way it's usually supposed to affect you. I don't know if that's a good thing. Like in some cases it can be a good thing. For example, you know how they say there's this, you know how they say practice makes perfect. Practice doesn't actually make perfect. Practice, I just learned, makes progress. So the more you do something, the more you get better at doing it, right? Even though it might be redundant, even though it might be repetitive, even though it might be loopy, the more you do something, I believe the more, like, if the more you try to, the best way to improve at doing something is to like keep doing it and keep um being consistent at it, right? The best way to be a good artist, or some good artist basically, is to keep drawing every day, keep practicing every day. Best way to like be a good guitarist or like singer or actor or whatever is to just keep practicing, right? That's the good part, that's the good aspect. And but then again, if you stop practicing, you lose that talent. Like talent isn't something that, like, I don't believe that anybody has, like, I don't believe that we are born with talents. I believe that, yeah, we can pick up we have interests basically, but then we develop those interests. Like for example, I used to be interested in drawing, and I used to draw all the time. And with time, I actually got better with drawing and painting and coloring and all that stuff. But for a long time now, I have not drawn. And so one time I decided to like, I used to draw. Let me just see what it feels like. Let me just like try to draw a fucking cup, a basic cup, man. I tried drawing a cup and I failed spectacularly at it. Like I failed. Oh, I was ashamed of I was ashamed of myself, man. And also I used to rap, obviously, and it, like sometimes I listen to my old rap songs and I'm like, I really said that. Like I cannot believe that I said things that I said. But then I was like, okay, let me just try writing down like let me just try writing rap again recently. And it was like really difficult for me because like I couldn't like, I lost, there's this, I've talked about this book before, the War of Art, right? And in the book it talks about how whenever we keep doing something, like whenever we want to do something, that like there's this interconnectedness, like there's this muse that comes and helps us do whatever it is that we want to do. But then because like the muse only comes when we keep doing things when we keep repeating things that we're good at and things that we're interested in. But then when we lose that interest, we also lose that muse. So when I used to rap and when I used to draw, the muse, I always had that muse with me, right? I always had that, like, should I say, higher power and higher essence with me that just guided me and like guided my footsteps and guided my hand and guided my lips and guided my thoughts and my brains. And I just knew where to like put the lines. I just knew where to like put colors. And in terms of rapping, I just knew the words to use, and I just knew how to use lyrics. But then when I stopped, I lost that like power. I lost that talent. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. This is the good aspects of the law of diminishing return. Wait, is that it? Is that what I'm trying to say? Like, this is the good, like, when you are really good at something, slow down. When you're really good at something, you, I don't know. That's not what I want to say. What I'm trying to say is that bear with me. This is why this podcast is called Bear with Me. This is just me trying to flush out my thoughts. Like, I don't think of things like I don't think of things as in like this is me like as I'm talking right now is me in real time flushing out my thoughts. Like this isn't something like I just maybe give them a rough thoughts, and then I turn on the recorder and I just start like talking. So bear with me, okay? So yeah, basically. So i am I am extremely jittery because I've had like 3 cups of coffee and to like put me in the mood, put me in the chatting mood. But the downside is that right now I'm being extremely jittery. This is why I prefer weed, man. This is why I prefer just being high and talking shit and just being besides my no, being aside myself, not besides myself. I thought coffee would do the magic. I thought coffee would do the trick, but nope. So, listen, there's something else I want to talk about. You know how, we've gotten to the point where it seems like and it feels like, we're advanced apes, right? We're like just apes that have technology and technology that is capable and able to change lives, to change our lives and make our lives better, but at the same time able to destroy us and put us and send us farther back to the stone age, farther backward. Like, is it farther back from the stone age? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I was thinking of something the other day, and what I was thinking of is I don't know if anybody has read it. I'm sure you've read the book. I'm sure most people have read the book. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, I'm sure everybody has read the book, right? So, like in the book, remember where it talks about the hotel at the end of the restaurant. Sorry, the restaurant at the end of the universe, like this restaurant where you can pay in the present. I don't know how it works actually, but my understanding of it is that like right now you can like invest in the restaurant that is going to exist when the universe is about to end, but it's going to exist in a time loop, besides the time where the universe is about to end, and there's going to be a restaurant inside that time loop that would have been built at that time by with the money that you invested in right now. And so by then you would have been like a quintillionaire or something. And then when you go to the restaurant, you order like your favorite food and like the best food that you can ever think of. And while you're eating, you can watch the universe like end in this glorious explosion. Makes sense, right? Makes it crazy. I don't know what this guy was thinking when he wrote that book, but it blew my mind when I read it. So, like, we all know, as in the book, we all know about the restaurant at the end of the universe. By the way, if I don't know if I was going to go to the restaurant at the end of the universe, what food would I eat? Listen, I cannot think. Listen, first of all, there's this question I usually ask people, like, and whenever I ask someone the question, they always give me the same answer, and it shows how the same and how, regardless of, sorry about that, regardless of how massive our problems might we think our problems are, regardless of how much suffering we think we're going through, regardless of how much persecution we think we are facing, regardless of how unseen we might feel, regardless of how unfair we might think we're being treated. Whenever I ask anybody this question, they always give me the same answer. Like the answer is the answer is like, as in they might not word it the same way, but at the end of the day it's the same thing. Like when I ask someone, what do you want? You understand? Like, what do you want? People always say that they just want to be happy, or they want money, or they want, like, it's always the same thing. Like it's not more than what humans as in the question is usually mostly or usually never more than what humans um realistically want to have. You understand? Realistically can realistically conceptualize. Like I've never asked somebody the question and then the person tells me that they either want to be able to see a color that the human eye can never like is not able to pick up, or I've never asked somebody the question and then they tell me something that is just way outside the box of human conception and imagination. You understand? Like it's always in the same spectrum of what humans really as in what humans want. Either they want to lose weight, or they want money, or they want to be happy, or they want something that is always in the spectrum or is always in the lines of whatever it is we humans want. Like you know how humans always want the least the humans always want to take the least part of resistance. So whatever it is that we want in this life always points towards will always point towards the least part of resistance. And so regardless of whether you want power, or regardless of whether you want money, or regardless of whether you want to be happy, or regardless of whether you want, I don't know what else, I don't know what else humans, I don't know, we want a lot of things, but everything that we want always boils down to just the basic things that humans are able to conceptualize, because we're just apes. We're just apes that just want we just want to, I don't know, we're just apes that just want to, that don't want to suffer. You understand? And so these are the answers that humans give, and so we cannot think of anything outside of that, because we don't have the ability, or we don't have the capacity to think of something that can be, that is out of that is out of that range. Like we're three-dimensional beings only able to think three-dimensionally. Like imagine a two-dimensional being, imagine like a reality where everything is in two dimension, like a piece of paper, and so there is only front and back, left and right. There is no up and down. Do you understand? Like we are in a three-dimensional reality where we have front and back, left and right, and up and down, right? But a two-dimensional reality where we only have front and back and left and right. So there is no concept of up and down. And so imagine that you put your hand in this, like you dip your finger into this two-dimensional reality, and imagine that you're a two-dimensional being looking at as in you cannot even look up, because there is nothing to look up to, but all you can see is just this line, this gigantic line in front of you, but in reality it's just like a fucking finger in your reality. So that is basically what I'm trying to say. I don't know if anybody can understand what I'm saying, but yeah, my brain is weird. Yeah, so back to the my story of the restaurant at the end of the universe, and the kind of food that I would want to eat while I watch the entire universe explode. I cannot think of what I'm trying to say is that I don't know what else I can think of. I don't know, because I've not had every food in the whole world, and because of cultural relativity, I think that the only food that I find the most delicious and the most appealing is Nigerian food. I the best I can think of, the best food I can think of that I would enjoy while I watch the universe explode is just my favorite food, curry and igusi soup. You understand? And like and the perfect blunt and red wine. That is it. That is basically it. So yeah, back to the initial thing I was talking about. Because we humans have evolved to to the extent where we are capable of we have the technology to change our lives and make our lives better, but also able and capable to destroy ourselves. um I was thinking of this, right? What if like for example now, what I mean by we have the technology to that is capable. I mean, obviously, technology has changed our lives in a lot of ways, medically, economically, financially. I don't know, um, socially. So and everybody knows that already. And let me just give you one example. For example, now, um, in so many we are in so many countries like medically we have like there are a lot of like diseases and stuff that we have been able to just make go extinct. Like there are a lot of diseases that we've like conquered basically. And um look, there's this TV show I was watching, the Orville, where, or let's not even say the Orville, like let's say Star Trek, right? And you know how way advanced they are in the future, and they're able to like make food with like machines and whatever food they want to eat, and they are so medically advanced that they can like, as in, their lives are just, there's this saying, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, right? So to them, to us, they are magicians. You understand? So and also to people in the past, we are also magicians. Like there are certain things that can no, as in, there are certain things that we can no longer suffer. There are certain diseases that humans can no longer suffer. Do you understand? Even though we haven't conquered everything yet, but there are certain things that, like for example, the Black Plague, and not is it called the plague, actually, not the Black Plague, the plague. And there are a lot of things that can no longer affect us because of how advanced we've gotten. Um, because of how advanced our medical technology has gotten. But imagine that we get to a point in the future where, like, imagine that, as in, we get to a point in the future where medical science has advanced so far that, so as in, medical science has advanced so much that um there'll be like disease, like there'll be hospitals that are, as in, tourist destinations. Like there'll be as in, hospitals that are basically tourist destinations where people will go there to like, to be able to experience what it feels like to have certain diseases. Like imagine that we get to a point to imagine that we get to a point in the future that we're so advanced that we basically no longer have diseases, and but we can only experience what it feels like to have certain, like we can only experience what it feels like to have, like, what so many people are suffering today, like cancer. Like imagine going to a hospital where um you don't go there to like for medical checkups, or because you don't actually have any like you're actually not sick, but you go there and then you pay money to experience what it feels like to have cancer, or to experience what it feels like to have like HIV, or actual or to experience what it feels like to have COVID. Just imagine how crazy that might be. And or also, as in, that, imagine what it feels like, as in, would there ever be, as in, imagine what it feels like, all right, to where, as in, we get to a point where technology becomes like, new technology becomes obsolete because like the old ones are just perfect. Like would there ever be a time when we get to, as in, we can no longer evolve, or should I say, we can no longer like create new things? Like, you know how they always create new iPhones and new models of cars like every year, and new iPhones every year, and new stuff every year, and every year the newer ones are slightly more advanced than the older ones. Like for example, now let's take the iPhone as an example, as a perfect example. um the difference between the iPhone 14 and, let's say, the iPhone 12 is not much. Like there are slight differences, but it's not that apparent. Do you understand? Like the iPhone the iPhone 12 can do basically everything that the iPhone 14 can do, right? And but will there ever be a time when, like, there will be no point buying like the iPhone 50, because basically the iPhone 50 is, as in, what else will they do? What else will they bring out? Like what kind of new features will like the latest technology have that would make you want to buy it, besides just besides just um wanting to have the latest technology. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say. Like, would there ever be a time when, as in, we humans would want to have the latest technology because it is actually impactful and it's actually useful? N- Not, or not, as in, would there ever be that time? Would that time ever come when we want to have it, not because for the sake of just having it alone, but because it is actually useful? Like, I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to explain it perfectly in a way that is coherent and understandable. Like, would we ever get to a time where new technology becomes obsolete because the old ones are just perfect? Like, will we ever get to a point where technology would be able to like solve will be able to solve every problem that humans can possibly have, to the point where there is no longer pain and suffering, and we're basically living in a utopia, and everything is and everything is perfect? Like, is tech is technology going to is technology is the potential for technology endless, or does it have a limitation? And is the limitation going to be detrimental to us, or I don't know, is it going to be advantageous? These are just odd, weird questions that I have in my head. All because there is this thing I've been thinking about, of humans getting to the point where we are so technologically advanced that there is no longer pain and suffering, and we are now basically immortals, and there are no diseases, and there is no suffering, and there is no crime, and there is no pain, and there is no like resentment and bitterness and war. And we are now like on the stage 4. We're now in the stage 4 of the Kardashev scale, and we're just advanced, and we're just like super beings, and we're just like, we have reached godlike I don't know, godlike status, right? So what then happens? What happens when we get to that point? Like, are we supposed to be these species that keep fighting each other, and keep like are we supposed to be these intellectual and intelligent beings that keep fighting each other and keep being hateful and spiteful towards each other, just so we cannot get to the point where just so we can never get to the point where we reach basically nirvana, and basically get to this godlike status, right? As in, just think of it for a second. Are we supposed to fight? Are we supposed to keep fighting each other so that at the end of the day we'll destroy each other, so that we'll not be able to get to a godlike status where we would have been so technologically advanced that we'll reach actual peace and prosperity and immortality and intelligence and just perfection? Because if we get to that point where we've achieved all these things, like if we get to the point where we have basically conquered every disease, and we have basically outgrown war and greed and politics and tribalism and religion and what's it called, superstition, and all these petty squabbles that we are currently, and racism, like all these petty squabbles that we are currently facing right now in our present time and present space and current condition. Like, if we've evolved past all of that stuff, what's the next thing? Because at the end of the day, like, when all is said and done, the universe is going to, like, for example, now listen, we know now from the James Webb Space Telescope that there are actual fucking galaxies that existed before. I don't know if I'm getting this correctly, but there are galaxies that existed a little, as in there are galaxies that there are galaxies that started existing just a little bit after the Big Bang. So that means that means that our the whole story and our whole understanding of the Big Bang is wrong. And so we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to study we need to study the Big Bang again to understand our place in the universe and to understand our place in this reality. Do you understand? So um but at the end of the day, everything that we know and everything that we love and everything that we understand and everything that we perceive and everything that we are able to conceptualize will end. Like the universe is either going to explode and the universe is, or it's either going to implode. It's either going to explode. Like the universe is either going to expand to the point where everything just, you know, like phases out, or and like just phases out, or it's going to expand to the point to like a fucking rubber band, and then like um spontaneously like contract and then explode and form a new fucking universe, right? That's probably how everything is going to end. But um but inside of all of that, that is eventually and inevitably going to happen, like inside of all of that, we have civilizations that will get to the stage 4 of the Kardashev scale, where they'll be so technologically advanced that we in our current position and we in our current reality right now, we think that they are basically magicians. But what happens to them? Like imagine a civilization that has reached um stage 4 or even stage 5 or even stage 7 on the Kardashev scale. Imagine a civilization that they are, imagine us, right? Like 500 million, or should I say 500 million years from now, our sun is going to die, because our sun basically is a star and stars don't live forever. And so our sun is going to die. But hopefully before our sun dies, we would have either we destroy ourselves before then, or we become so technologically advanced that we leave our planet and then go to another planet with a young star that is that we go to another planet with a young star, and also the planet has to be in the Goldilocks zone of that star, where life as it is on Earth is also the same on that like a planet that is similar to Earth. I don't know if anybody is going to understand what I'm trying to say, but imagine that our sun is dying and then we get technologically advanced enough to go to another planet that is similar to our present one, and then we continue to thrive and live on that planet to for a long enough period where also the star of that planet starts dying, and then we leave that planet and we just keep hopping and hopping and hopping and changing galaxies and changing planets all the time. We cannot do that forever, because eventually the universe is going to end, right? So if we get to the point where we are so technologically advanced and we are now able to witness the end of the universe, like what are we going to do? Like what next? Like the question I'm asking is that, are we inevitably supposed to fight to keep being spiteful and keep being hateful towards ourselves? And like, are we supposed to destroy ourselves by ourselves, as opposed to being technologically advanced where we get to be witnesses of the end of the universe? Do you understand? Like, is that how reality is supposed to pan out? Is that how civilizations are supposed, is that the road that civilizations all over the universe is supposed to take? Because what would it be, as in, imagine that you're someone existing in a time where we have gotten so advanced, and now we've hopped, like we've changed planets so many times, and we are now in the situation where we are now witnessing the end of the universe. Like imagine that you're actually in that position. Like imagine that you're somebody existing in that time, so like advanced and so way into the future, where the universe is about to end. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you no longer have any concept of death, because we've obviously conquered death, right? You no longer have any concept of sickness, because we've obviously conquered sickness. We no longer have concept of greed, or any concept of like racism or politics or hate or religion, or everything that we're currently facing and we are currently going through right now, war and all of that stuff. Like, we know we have passed all of that stuff, right? And now all of a sudden you're being faced with this inevitable reality that the universe is about to end. What the hell? What the fuck are you going to do? Like, I always imagine, like, I know we there are movies where there are people that are immortals, right? People that have lived for a very long time. We always like have this idea of immortality. Like, we always we like to embrace this idea of immortality. Like, but how long do you think you want to live? Do you understand? Like, how long do you think you would like to live? Like, how long do you think you ideally want to live for? Because the universe is not going whatever it is we think this universe is, might be a simulation, might be we might be fucking some weird ass white blood cells or red blood cells in doing whatever cells do in a much larger organism. Do you understand? Whatever it is that we think this universe is, it's going to end at some point in time. You understand? Like, there's going to be some cosmic change. Like, there's going to be an inevitable drastic change at some point in time. Do you understand? And so, would you like to be a witness to that change? Or, as in, would you like to be a witness to that change? That is basically what I'm trying to say. Like, when we have become so advanced, I know I'm being repetitive right now, but that's the best that is the best way I can like try to express this view. Like, would you like to be a witness to that? I don't know if I would like to be a witness to that. Do you understand? I don't know if I would like to be an immortal. I know people like embracing this, like, we even now, even right now, like, we like this idea of living of feeling young and living forever. Like, there are many ways now that people are able to like make themselves look young. We have like fucking surgery, we have filters on Instagram and TikTok and all of that stuff that make people look young. We have surgeries, we have like fucking makeup and all of that stuff that people try to use to make themselves look young and make themselves look supple and, stuck in time. You understand? Like, stuck in time. We have all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, time keeps moving forward, and everything that we have is going to change. Like, everything that we know is going to change and disappear. And so maybe I think it is maybe I think this is the natural path that life and reality is supposed to take. Maybe we humans are supposed to keep fighting ourselves. Maybe we're supposed to be petty. Maybe we're supposed to be I don't know. Maybe unity is never going to be achieved, because if unity is achieved, like, there's this saying, I don't even think it's a saying, but I've heard something. It's something like the meaning of, as in, what is it? You know how people usually ask, what is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is like probably to achieve ultimate unity, because I bet I don't know how they say it. Like, I bet the universe is going to end if we all achieve peace and unity. Like, that's when the universe is actually going to end. Because then what else are we now supposed to do? Like, imagine a world where there is no suffering. Right? I know I've talked about this before. I know that suffering is like know how fucked up it is, and I know that everything is just this and that. But what else are we supposed to do if there is nothing to conquer? Like, what else are we supposed to do if there is no if there is no if there is no purpose? Like, our purpose is to like solve problems, right? So what else are we supposed to do when there is no problem to solve? All these things that we're going through right now is like is one form of is a form of problem that we're supposed to solve. I don't know if I'm making any sense. um uh we are so much in disunity right now in the world that it feels like we're at the brink of war, and we're at the brink of self-destruction. And there is we are like everybody feels like there is this impending doom that we're about to face, right? China is about to take over Russia. There's so much disunity in America. In Nigeria, we are fighting to have like good governance in America. Like, people are just being shot left and right in America. Not in America, in Nigeria. We're fighting to have good governance in Nigeria. Then in America, people are just being mistakenly shot, maybe for being in the wrong parking lot, or for knocking on the wrong door, or whatever. It's like there is so much going on right now, and it feels like there is instability, and there's disunity, and there's like destruction. But what if that is just how life is supposed to be? Because the opposition to that would be peace and tranquility and unity, and then everything will just be bland, and everything will be boring. You understand? What if, even though as bad as it is right now, it is how things are supposed to be like? What if we're supposed to? What if we're supposed to be in a state of perpetual conflict? What if we are never supposed to learn from our mistakes? What if we are just naturally supposed to be petty and, vindictive and hateful towards each other? What if the human experience also involves everything that is happening right now? Isn't that wild? Isn't that like crazy? Like, isn't it kind of fucked up to know that we're never going to be a peaceful race, and we're never going to get to a point where we're never going to destroy ourselves completely, but we are also never going to get to the point where we'll achieve peace? You understand? Like, we're just going to continue being this fucking fucked up species of life. Like, I don't know. That's basically it. It's kind of fucked up to think of. It's kind of like fucked up to, I don't know. I've like This is just something I've been thinking of for a long time, and even though I have like this is the first time I'm trying to like flesh it out to this point, and try to make sense of it, because this is what we've been doing since the beginning of time. Like, this is what we've been doing since the beginning of time, and we're going to keep looking for new ways to fuck ourselves up, and we're going to keep inventing new ways to be to be, I don't know, negative towards each other for till the end of time. So maybe the sooner we learn to accept our fate, that this is going to be our perpetual condition, the better for us. So so yeah, I guess that's fucked up, and that's that about that. 3 cups of coffee today, that's too much for me. I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to help me, but it's like fucking me up, man. I don't know. I think 3 cups is too much. Yeah, so I think 3 cups of coffee is too much for me to handle. So yeah, I guess this is where I have to stop for today. Um, if you enjoyed this episode, but I don't think anybody would enjoy this episode anyway. But if you happen to enjoy this episode, please let me know, and also maybe follow me on Twitter at General Prime One. All my links will be in the description, and yeah, thank you for tuning with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys next week. All right. Bye, everybody.